I've been doing real estate investing since bought our first property in 2008. I have a small portfolio of about 34 rentals right now. Run the fund for Always Capital and lending arm there. My dad and I have flipped, I don't even know how many houses, and mostly in Buffalo, New York. I've lost track. And for any of you who were former fortune builders, I built the marketing program that they taught all their students. So I got over 4,000, actually about 4,500 hours on stage, more than double that if we count Zooms, teaching entrepreneurs and investors just like yourself how to use the internet to build their business, drive more capital, get deals, do whatever it is that you want to do.
Guys, I want to add, I mean, a lot of you guys have known Mark and Brian. Brian's been on a lot lately. Mark was on just the other day, actually yesterday with Brian. Um, you guys know me because I've been hosting these Zoom calls for 6 years. This is the seventh year that we're hosting Zoom calls. Um, and I think you guys know the value that I bring as far as helping you guys learn how to be visible, build your network, build your brand, market yourself, what your social media presence look like. People work with people that they know. So how do we let everybody know who you are? All this stuff like this. Bob, Mark, and Brian, these are three of the smartest guys I know. I know a lot of smart people. They might be the three smartest people I know. And not only am I going to be teaching you what I've been teaching you guys for, gosh, going on 8 years, but they're bringing their value now. And if those of you that haven't looked in our other group, and I'm going to just put it up on the board here for a second. Here's Bob's profile, so you know that it's always Bob McIntosh. Um, what I'm going to show you here is come to my page really quick. Here's my website. You guys know about registering. I think you're all registered for the most part. We have a new lending company, Always Capital, and our partners are myself, Brian, Bob, and Mark. We will have our fourth annual networking picnic this July here in Southern California. Our calls are on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Register once for either of those days, and you'll be invited to all of that particular day. So if you can only do Saturday, register for Saturday. You will be invited to all Saturdays. You don't have to register 52 times through the year. Again, my YouTube channel, guys, has a ton of guest speakers. I've got almost 370 videos. I've done 600 Zoom calls at least. But the thing I really want to point out today is one of the things we've done is we've created a new group on Facebook, and it's called Capital Investing Done Safely. Initially, this group, guys, was to be how to protect yourself as a lender. Well, we're taking it a step further. We're actually, let me put this over here. The other thing we're doing now, a little bit more extensive, is looking to help people that would like to broker for our lending company, or if you're a rehabber or a developer, or if you're a buy and hold investor, or if you're looking to get into private equity and debt, if you're a note buyer, if you want to be a limited partner, there's many different aspects of investment that you can get into. We're not just looking people that, I don't know, a number of people have messaged me lately going, I don't have any capital. I'm not ready to invest in anything. But we're doing way more than that. And as you guys know, the Zoom calls that we've been having are now, this is not going to be a paid group. And we had offered it for like about a month at $19 a piece or a month. And effective yesterday, this group went to $37 a month. So if you'd like to get in here, you still can. Um, and you're going to get access to Brian, Mark, and Bob, as well as myself. But you guys have been on the calls. You've been on you know the value. Hopefully, anyone that wants to still get in here, you can still get in here. Um,
And real quick, guys, that group specifically is where we break down deeper strategies of capital. And what that means is that you don't have to have capital, right, to be a part of the group. But you do have to be willing to part with some of your capital to educate a little deeper. Specifically, what we're showing people how to do is how to put money into deals, how to find equity partners for deals. So if you don't have any money, right, we're going to show you how to get an equity partner, what to do to find the right one, and how to structure a deal so that everyone can win. Our goal is to really just show you guys the ropes and the things that transparently a lot of the education companies either gloss over, make seem really easy, or just straight up don't teach. Because we look at everything from a lender perspective. The reality is the price for the group doesn't actually like it's not going to make any of the four of us rich, especially when we divide it four ways. What it does do though is help us drive. Literally every dollar is going to be pretty much put right back into building the group, so that you have more opportunities to invest in deals when they come your way. If you're an investor with capital, or if you need capital, you have an increased resource of people who are looking to invest in deals. And then the goal is that we're aligned, right? We want you to do deals because if you're doing deals, well, you probably need money. If you need money, we want to be your first stop to come get the first position financing through Always Capital. So rather than trying to take your money just for education, right? We kept this as low as price as we could, so that instead we can directly align with you guys to get more deals, because that's how we all win together. And that's the goal, right? Like $37 a month, no offense, is not going to change my life. But helping you do 10, 15, 20 deals over the next few years is going to dramatically much more impact my life. And more importantly, should for the better impact yours too.
And one of the things I've said for a long time, guys, is, I don't want your money. My networking group is still free. This group on Thursdays is still free. On Thursdays, you will hear Bob speak. You will hear Mark speak. You will hear Brian speak. We will still be bringing guest speakers back to the group from all over the country. I've said many times, I don't want your money. I want the most valuable thing you have to offer, which is your friendship. But what I also want to do really is, why do I do this? I want to help you guys to become as successful as you can be as quickly as you can get there. And now, with Bob, Mark, and Brian, more specifically, we're going to help you to become successful by helping you find your leads. Part of them is using AI to find leads. There'll be other ways that Bob and Brian and Mark will help you guys to find your leads. And then identify who are the parties, who are the individuals, the professions that you need to make these deals come to life. So in working with these people, again, that's where I come in. How do you build rapport? How do you build these relationships? And no one's going to teach you that better than me. But after that, when you get all these things in place, the final step is closing those deals. Closing those deals.
Got
And
to get
again, that's
paid.
where Bob, Mark, and Brian are going to come in. We want you guys to be successful. Nowhere else are you going to get this, because every place else, guys, they're all chasing the deal. They'll lay out videos for you, but why did I even start the group? When I joined Fortune Builders 8 years ago, I joined Fortune Builders because it looked like a great opportunity. Spend $30,000. I'm going to learn how to flip houses and make a lot of money. Didn't quite work out that way. But one of the things I noticed, took advantage of, realized was that in order for me to be successful, I need to build relationships and surround myself with successful people. So I built this group. And the purpose of the group was to surround myself and meet people. In the beginning, it was about just teaching people how to use Facebook. And since then, it's been a little bit more in detail. What's your social media presence look like? How do you build rapport? How do you market yourself? Um, this is all the purpose of for vetting the people that we come across. We want to vet them to make sure the people are just like us, or people we could trust. If you go to vet people and they're not going to talk to you, they're not going to have their screen on a Zoom call, it's probably someone that's not going to be transparent. You talk to someone once, don't do a deal with them. You need to talk to them multiple times, have multiple touches, so that you can really build relationships. Um, can't stress this enough, but what I want to do is really help you guys to be successful. And it's not just what I can do, but we're really looking to, um, as Bob was talking about, equity partners, right? So a couple of people said, "Oh, I don't have any money. I don't have any money. I can't get into investment." Well, if you're in real estate investment, guess what? You're an investor, you know? So I don't, hey, stop it, you guys. When someone says I don't have the money, guess what? We're a lending company. We have the money, but no lender is going to give you 100% of everything. You're going to have to cover that gap, uh, cover your holding costs, et cetera, et cetera. That's where you probably need to get someone to help you, which is going to be your equity partner. And how do you find an equity partner so that you find the lead, you find the deal, you've got the hard money. There's an old saying, find the deal, find the money. Well, if you find the deal and you find the hard money, you would need to find an equity partner that could bring the private gap. When you get and we will help you as far as structuring all that. So just wanted to introduce Bob. Bob's going to cover a couple things today. Some of you guys have reached out to, and you're using Google Voice. And when you use Google, I don't know if anybody using Google Voice? It's probably, when you use Google Voice, the person you're calling can't get through to you. I don't know if you know that. They call, they get a number. It says the person you're calling, the Google Voice part of your calling can't be reached. The tone, leave your message. If you really want to connect with someone, I'm going to say like Bob or Brian or Mark, you probably want to give your real number, is all I'm going to say. Brian's been reaching out to a number of people and he's getting Google Voice numbers, and he's not getting through to people. So I just wanted to make a note about it. If, you have to take into consideration who you're reaching out to as far as what number you want to give them. I think a Google Voice number is a number that you want for potential buyers, potential sellers, business people. But when you're looking to build a real strong connection with someone, it's part of its transparency. I'm going to suggest you give them the real number. The best way to lose money is to deal a deal with someone you don't know. That makes sense, guys? If that makes sense, give me a little emoji popping up. Um, the best way to lose money is to do a deal with someone you don't know. So when you meet people, you want to get to know them. How do I do that? How do I do that? You get to know people by building rapport. Great. I understand the word. What does that mean? Again, how do I do that? You want to talk about the acronym FORD: family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. The key is to use these four topics to get that person talking about themselves, get them to open up. But more importantly, find out what about them is similar to you. So you go, oh my God, me too. Chris, you live in Dallas, Texas. I used to live in Dallas, Texas. Me too, Chris. Right? You want to find that commonality because what you really want to do, guys, is when you meet people, you want to see who's worth your time. You want to see that they're worth your time, not that you're worth their time. You want to vet these people. You want to get to know them. You need to learn how to interview people so you can find out what they're about. That's what you're going to do, Chris, when you talk to Corey and Damien. And guys, I'm going to shut up and I'm going to give the microphone to my good friend, Mr. Bob McIntosh.
What's up, everybody? Thanks, JJ. And no, this is perfect. And Chidi, I don't know if I'm saying that right, so I apologize if I'm killing your name. Um, I want to echo what JJ just said, right? So tonight's presentation's a lot about how do we build high value posts on social to attract the things that we want to. And Chidi, the very first thing, and I wasn't going to talk about this, but it's just too perfect not to. So I hope you don't mind if I call you out for a minute. The very first thing when people think about dealing and doing business with somebody else is how do they appear in their social profile? So if you're out there, you're posting stuff, you're doing stuff, which is what tonight's about, and your profile looks like it was set up for you to be, a teenager or to, have it out with your friends or play your little video games or whatever it is, regardless of what you actually do in your life and how you operate as an operator of a business, the first thing they do is they assume, oh, this guy's not serious. This woman's not serious. Because if they were, they would have taken this more seriously. And so I'd encourage you to do that. Now, the good thing is, right, get a couple good photos and you can use the same thing across every profile. If you look at every single one of my profiles, it's the same profile picture. This also has the added benefit of making sure that when someone finds me on any social platform, they know exactly who I am because it's the same. Now, they're going to engage with me wherever they engage. So if they're on Facebook a lot, great, they'll be there a lot. They're on IG, they're on TikTok, they're on Snapchat, they're on this, or whatever it is, right? I'm on all the platforms, but I'm in all the same places with the same photo. Pretty much universally, I have the same handle, which means you find me at the Bob McIntosh on every single platform. There's a few where I have alternate, like I still have a personal profile because I set that back up in 2004 before I even knew what I was doing in business, right? But and so yeah, so I don't mean to call you out, but yeah, like use that to your advantage, right? We can say that we don't do these things, but the reality is, if someone's got $200,000 they want to park in a deal with me, and they want to talk to me on Facebook, I'm probably going to talk to them on Facebook, right? Like that's where I'm gonna figure it out. So own that in what you do. So here's what I want to cover tonight, guys. I want to talk about how do you build high value posts? What does that look like for us? I'm gonna share some examples from JJ's group. If anyone's in an example that I call you out and tell you that you have a low value post, please know that I'm not picking on you. This is an opportunity for you to learn and grow because that's why we're all here, right? And there's gonna be a lot of information here. So get ready, take some notes, get a pen and paper if you got it. Obviously, we're recording this, we'll put it out. The free group ones go on YouTube, so you'll be able to access those there. Obviously, the deeper ones that we go into a lot more deep stuff in the Capital Investing Done Safely group are only accessible there because it's a paid group. But we're still gonna go through a lot of stuff tonight. So for everyone on the call right now, I want you to write one of the following numbers in the chat for me. I want you to write a number one if you're actively using social media to bring in deals, capital, equity partners, build your business, and it's actually working for you. You're getting things from it. I want you to put a two if you're not, right? So one, if you're using social media right now to actually help you get your business going. Two, if it's not really helping you at all. You have it, but you're not really using it. Okay, I see a lot more twos than ones. Perfect. Handful of ones. Perfect. Sandy said, I don't know how. Awesome, Sandy. That's okay. That's why we're here. Perfect. Okay, good. So there's probably about 70% twos, 30% ones. Ronnie's got a slow one. That's okay. That's good. By the way, we all start slow. We all start slow. Okay, so this is perfect. And thank you guys I'm going to ask for some more participation as we go because I want you guys to learn and grow from what we do here. So understand a couple simple things. And JJ talks about this all the time. You got to be visible, right? You got to be visible. The number one thing that I see people do wrong on social media is that they frame their posts in the wrong way. They do the wrong kind of posts. They say the wrong kind of things. So then no one wants to engage with the post because there's no engagement. It actually reduces visibility in reach. And that decline, because the reach is declined, that means that there's less engagement, which just creates this vicious circle. On the same way, if we do the right things, we create visibility, we create engagement, we say things the right way, it creates its own self-fulfilling prophecy of getting a post out there. What Facebook does is they show your stuff to a small group of people, right, based on your engagement and on all their crazy algorithm stuff. And then if that post gets more traction, they open it up to more and more and more and more and more. And so the more engagement you get, the better off it is for what you do. And so we'll talk about how all of this when they go through there. And so here's the thing. Most investors aren't struggling as much with, posting. They know that they need to, but they're struggling with positioning, right? If I look at probably 85% of the posts in JJ's group and probably 65 to 70% of the posts I see publicly, they have the right idea. They're just positioning the post completely wrong. And that's what I want you guys to understand for tonight is how do we position ourselves and how do we do the right things to add value? Because value inherently drives more engagement, which drives more reach, which drives more engagement, which drives more value, and it self-fulfills from there. So I'm going to show you guys how to post in a way that attracts capital, attracts broker relationships, attracts other operators, might attract deals, not necessarily from motivated sellers, right? There's a misconception. Most motivated sellers are not going to be posting with us or interacting with us on social media. Maybe if we're in groups, like specific groups, yes, but not in general, right? But we all need more money, more connections, more operators, more equity investors. We all need more people in our sphere of influence as real estate investors. And the hardest thing, unfortunately, for you as a real estate investor, you chose one of the hardest things to do from a social media standpoint. And that's because we need all kinds of different people. We need agents and realtors. We need other wholesalers. We need other investors. We need people with capital. We need private lenders. We need institutional private lenders. We need all these different things. And so when we look at our social profiles, we have to really we have to be out on all the platforms because if we're not, what we're doing is we're leaving potential relationships, opportunity, and definitely money on the table. Okay. So the first thing, and by the way, guys, I don't have a lot of slides for this. I'm just going to kind of talk through some ideas here and some things that I see. I'm going to share some specific examples, and I'm going to show you guys a couple of things that we got in the works to help you with this. Okay. But the first thing is I need you to shift your mindset. Okay. I want you to shift your mindset. And this really stems from shifting the language that you use when you talk to yourself, when you talk to other people, when you talk to other investors, when you talk to family members, when you talk to anyone in your life. But we have to shift one key thing in every post we do. Most of the posts that I see are neutral. Okay. They're neutral. Neutral posts have no clear signal. They don't define an audience that I should be speaking to. There's not an invitation, not invitation. I don't know why I said that way. No, there's not an invitation. There's no filtering. And so what happens is neutral posts, because they're neutral, inherently create disconnect from everybody else. Now, let me be real quick, real poignant. I don't mean that you have to always post, you know, contrarian opinions. I don't mean that you have to post political stuff. I don't mean that you have to post religious stuff, right? But we have to shift out of being neutral and shift into actually clearly signaling what we want, targeting a specific audience for who the post is targeted towards, inviting them to do something, whatever that thing is, and don't create filters in what we're doing. So, for example, one of the things here's four posts that I see all the time. Deal recap posts, right? Oh, I did a deal, it was cool. I made $20,000. Okay, well that's you beating your own chest, right? That's a humble brag, right? Talk about the deal. Get into the details of the deal. What went well? What didn't go well? What lessons can you share from what you did in that deal? Don't just recap the deal. No one cares about your recap, right? They care about what they can take away and what value you can provide about the deal that you did. You making money is not a value post. You making money is a humble brag. So it doesn't get anything. It doesn't go anywhere. Okay. Market update posts. I see these all the time. No, like the reality is no one's coming to you for market updates, right? We're not basic agents, right? Now, if you're running a fund, for example, like we run a fund, well, then we'll probably talk about market updates and what's happening in the hard money because you're coming to us for that. But for most investors, market updates are useless. Motivational quotes. I'm sorry, I know there's a ton of those being posted all the time. The more you post motivational quotes, the more motivation you need, which tells me you have a lack of motivation, which means you're a low value person in my network. Because if you're not motivated to go do things on your own, you're not going to be motivated to work with me. You're not going to be motivated to make my capital work for you. You're not going to be motivated for anything else. And that scares me. Right now, people don't necessarily think this, like they're not thinking that stuff aloud, but they're thinking it subconsciously. And then it makes them go, and then they don't know why. But that's why. Right now, this is not to say that you shouldn't post motivational quotes. Look, like if you find one that's like, man, I really resonated with that quote today. It was important to me. I want to share it. Then go ahead and share that out there. But understand that motivational quotes signal a low value post, right? Because we're not motivational speakers, right? If you want to be Tony Robbins, you want to be Eric Thomas, you want to be, Ed Milet, who's, talking about motivation all the time, cool. But that's not really what investors are after. That's not going to attract the right thing into your sphere of influence. So don't talk about those things. And then don't talk about generic lessons, right? Like one of the things that I find most frustrating about posts is when people sugarcoat or dumb down the lesson to something that's useless. Like, oh, I hired a contractor and, I didn't check for his insurance ahead of time. Okay, well, that's a generic lesson. And yes, it's a good lesson. Don't get me wrong. Like you should be doing that, but it's not a deep value, right? Like go deeper than that. Go, get into the meat. Like, hey, had a conversation and I didn't check his insurance because ABC. These things, he just was a smooth talker. He showed up, he was dressed clean and professionally. He has a company vehicle. And so I just assumed that he had good insurance. Turns out he didn't, but I made like that's a deeper value, right? Not that I just didn't check his insurance. Why didn't I check his insurance? Okay. So all of this is to say that a lot of investors think if I simply post, I'll get traction, right? And look, like Gary Vee talks about this, all these social media influencers talk about this. And sure, if you post 100 times a day, every day for, 3 years consistent, you'll probably get some traction, right? A certain percentage of your posts will. But the reality is, as investors, we don't have time to be on social media. We're not trying to be social media influencers. We're trying to do real estate. More of your time needs to be out there making offers. Because if you're not making offers, you're not getting deals. If you're not getting deals, you're not making money as an investor. It's as simple as that, right? So rather than trying to focus on posting all the time, post high intent posts that have a clear signal of why you're posting, have a defined audience. This post is for lenders. This post is for investors. This post is for sellers. This post is for equity people. This post is for private, whatever, whoever it is, right? Invite them to do something, and I'll show you guys examples of what this looks like. And don't filter it. Don't be unabashed in sharing the specific minutia of whatever thing it's going through because that's what people need to hear. They can go watch a generic YouTube video for generic information. They want to hear from you. Okay. Um, if you're going to share wins with the details behind why you won. What made you win? What was the specifics? How did you accomplish it? What was the hurdles you faced? Things of that, right? Create that frame, right? If you are signaling something, going deep, that's where you'll see traction when you're going for, right? So I want you to ask a question. What am I signaling on every post? What am I signaling? Who is it who is it targeted towards? Okay. And did I make an invite to them to do something? Whether that's a call to action, whatever. Now, I do want to be very clear on the call to action is almost never DM me for the thing, comment so and so to get the stuff. That stuff doesn't like look, that works great when you're running advertising, but in groups, particularly in JJ's group, networking group, right? That stuff doesn't work, right? So when I say inviting them to say, invite them to think about something, invite them to take action on something, invite them to go do something in their business. Now, if it's a specific post about you need a lender or whatever, then yes, say put your details there. Don't say DM me, right? That's impersonal. Say, if I'm serious about getting a lender for a deal, put my email address, put my phone number, and say, call me if you've got money for a deal like this. That's an invite, right? So be specific, be intentional about what you post, and you'll be better from there. Okay. So, couple things. When we think about networking kinds of posts, there's really three kinds of networking posts that we can create. Write these down. You've got visibility posts, you've got authority posts, and you've got high intent posts. High intent is what we want, right? This is a hierarchy. Visibility posts are just things built for engagement, built for the algorithm. It's a broad audience. There's very low intent, low value. It's just designed to get attention. It's not really generating serious conversations. These posts, particularly in groups, almost never go anywhere. Why? Because there's not a lot of intent behind it, right? There's literally billions of people posting on social media right now with way more interesting things. So why should I care about your low value, low intent post that you're trying to game the algorithm with? Okay. Authority posts. These are a little bit better. These have value, right? You're teaching from experience. You're sharing a perspective. You're sharing a pattern that you recognized in a deal flow that you did or something that you had happen. You're defining what you believe to be true about a specific topic in that, right? So an authority post is this right here, this content. I could take clips from this content and create authority posts because I'm sharing, I'm teaching from experience. I'm showing a pattern that I find, right? There's three kinds of posts, right? That's a pattern. All right. I'm defining what I believe. I believe that if you want to see traction, you shouldn't post visibility posts. You should post occasional authority posts, but really you should be posting high intent posts. And I'll get to that in a second, what those are. Okay. But authority posts create credibility and they position you as an operator. So these are good posts in general, but those are usually good posts to make on your personal pages. Those are generally not great posts to post into groups because groups are looking for something specific. Everyone in JJ's group is looking to connect with other investors, to find deals, to grow deals, to plug in lenders, to plug in equity partners. That's why they're there. Right now, if you're in a group of how do I post to social media to get attention, well, then sharing an authority post might be a good post for that because they're looking for that kind of authority if you have a story to share, right? So understand who your audience is and target those authority posts to the right kind of groups. Now, the posts that are going to get the most traction are what we call high intent posts. This should be the goal of what you should be trying to post. These posts do three things, right? By the way, notice how I keep breaking down things in threes. That's a good high intent idea. Threes are easy to understand. Threes are easy to break down. Threes don't get people lost in the minutia. So threes are always a good thing. So high intent posts do three things. First, they frame the problem, right? Now, it's not necessarily that there's a problem, right? There doesn't always have to be a problem, but it could be framing the story. It could be framing the problem, be framing the lesson, but you got to frame something. Okay. Number two, is you have to identify who this story and who this post is for, right? That can be done through framing, right? So, for example, if I was going to share about, let's go back to my insurance example with a contractor, instead of just saying I didn't check the insurance, right? Hey, are you an investor who's hiring, trying to do rehabs and talking to contractors all the time? Let me share a story about how I messed up and I didn't check insurance because I had false beliefs about the contractor before they ever even started the project. Just like that. And it's like, oh, what? Yeah, I'm doing rehabs. So I've defined a target, framed the problem that I messed up on the insurance, but I'm going to tell you how and what I did, right? Identified who it's for. Are you an investor who's doing rehabs and hiring contractors? Just like that. Guess what? I've now set the audience for who this is. If I'm a capital investor, if I'm a private lender and I'm never going to deal with contractors, I already know to skip your post because it wasn't for me in the first place. And that's okay. Not every post should be for everybody because most people are not going to care. That's how we genericize posts down to the point where they're useless. Okay. And then the last thing that a high intent post does is going to create some sort of call forward, call to action, some sort of invitation. It's going to do something. Now, again, this is not DM me to, get my thing. This is not, drop a comment, contractor to get my 8 steps, right? I promise you, if you do that stuff in groups, it will get declined. Case in point, just in the last 4 days, just this week, I have literally deleted from JJ's group 37 posts that were that exact thing. DM me the thing. Because now you're not providing value. You're trying to scrape leads. You're trying to get like there's not a value forward proposition, right? Right? Just share the story and say, hey, if this helped you, drop a thank you so much in the comments. That's perfectly fine. Hey, if you liked my 13 step process that I now go through that I shared in the post, right? Drop a comment. Hey, if it's you need a private lender on a deal, great. If you're looking to lend on this deal, here's my contact information. Make it simple for them to get a hold of you. Like that's how we create high intent stuff. Okay. Right. And so when we think about these kinds of posts, right, frame the problem or the story, or whatever, create a frame, identify who it's for, and then create a call forward. Within that, right, our structure should be situation, insight, signal, invitation. Okay. This is 4. I know, not 3. I had to put it in 4. Right. So here's a situation. Here's an insight that I had, or multiple insights that I had. Here's the signal of what should be happening, an invitation to do something. This is how high intent posts are written. Now, the other part of a high intent post that is probably the most important thing that most investors get wrong is that their language is either passive, right? Like passive language, like, hey, if you're interested in this deal, that's passive language, okay? Or it's low value. So, like, let's say I'm looking for a money lender. This is where I see it the most often. If I'm looking for a private money lender on a deal, if you're interested in this deal, I've got an opportunity for you, investment opportunity. No, you don't. You need money. Let's call it what it is. Be straightforward. It's fine. We all need money for our deals, right? If all of us had enough money to go do all of our deals with our own money, we probably wouldn't be in a group like this in the first place. We wouldn't be posting to social media in the first place, right? A high intent post says, I've got an opportunity. This is the specifics of the opportunity. By the way, I'm going to show you guys how we do this with deal posting formats. Here's all the details that you need to make a quick decision. If this sounds good, contact me, right? Now it's not some like nebulous, well, here's some information, right? Like you're straightforward with everything that they need to know to make a decision that quickly. That shows value. That shows high intent. That shows status. It's elevated. Okay. Now, one other way to do this, if you're not posting about a deal, but let's say you're sharing a lesson that someone should learn, right? The word you is one of the most powerful marketing words in the world, right? Because now it makes it about them, right? So instead of saying, I think you're going to love this class tonight on how to create high value posts, right? That's a low level post, right? I want you to picture and imagine for a second. You've got a guy in the water and he's flailing his arms as fast as he can. But every time his head keeps going down and it pops back up and he gasps for breath and he goes back down and back up and he's doing that. Okay. 15 feet away, there's a guy standing on land. and he's got a life ring in his hand and he's watching this guy bob up and down. Which would you rather be? The guy flailing or the guy with the life ring? Well, most of us would probably want to be the guy with the life ring, right? If you're the life ring guy, put a one in the chat for me, right? If you're the flailing person, you can put a two, by the way. But most of us would probably rather be the guy with the life ring than the guy with, flailing in the water. Perfect. There's a bunch of ones coming in. When I say, I think you're going to like this, would you do me a favor? Could you do this for me? Would you be okay with? Right? That's very passive language. That's the guy flailing in the water kind of language, right? So instead of, I think you're going to like this, you're going to enjoy this content because it's going to help you XYZ. You're going to enjoy this story because it'll allow you to avoid the problem that I had. I'm telling you what you're going to feel, think, or do in the post. That shifts, right? It's a subtle shift, but it shifts from the guy flailing in the water to the guy with a life ring. So we got to change our language a little bit when we go through this. Okay. So think about your language. Before you post anything, stop for a second and read it and say, does this sound like the guy flailing or does this sound like the guy throwing the life ring? And if it sounds like the guy flailing, how can I be more definitive with my language, more authoritative? How can I state something? You will feel this. You will think this. This will happen for you. Right? That's high value, high intent content. All right. Some other things that you can do in your posts to help you get intent to create higher intention and create more visibility and traction. Okay. Declare a position. Take a position on something that you're doing. Most investors are overpaying for money because they're not using always capital. That's a position. Okay. If you're raising capital right now and you don't have your social media profiles, photos set the right way, you're leaving money on the table. That's declaring a position, right? Make a statement. Always a great way to do this. It filters. If you want to create a polarizing statement, you can. It doesn't have to be, right? You might have to, if you want to, you can, right? And it will certainly get more traction, particularly if it's a contrarian type thought process. Like you're taking the opposite of what everyone else thinks for a reason. But be careful doing that. If all you ever post is that, people they tune out very quickly because they're like, oh, here we go, another post from so and so calling the thing out, right? And particularly, all right, guys, I got to call this out. People do this all the time. They take a contrarian opinion, they state something, and then they talk through a post back to the same, to the opposite of the opinion that they took and agree with the thing that they disagreed with in the beginning. Like that just makes people go, oh, okay. Like you're just saying this to get attention, and no one wants to feel like they've been baited into giving attention because it just feels low value. So don't do that. Okay. Posting and taking a definitive position that you believe in and you stand behind and will see all the way to the end will attract serious players into your business. Okay. Next, you got to show operational depth. Get specific with numbers. Get specific with the scenario. Get specific with the lesson. If there's nuances, talk about the nuances, right? The idea of fake it till you make it doesn't work anymore. It just simply doesn't. People will see through that immediately, right? This is no joke. I had a guy reach out to me recently. He's like, I'm going to start mentoring students, and I got a course. I said, okay, well, give me your background and information about your course. If it makes sense, maybe I'll promote it, right? Sends me a thing. He's like, I've been doing real estate for almost 5 years. Immediate, nope, pass, right? You are not ready to sell a course if you've been doing real estate for less than 5 years, because the reality is you haven't lived through enough nuance of the real estate market. Real estate investing specifically operates in usually decade-long transitions. I've been doing real estate for almost 20 years. I've been through several ups and downs of the market, so I can speak to the things. If you're less than 5 years, I'm sorry, but you're still a newbie, right? If you've done less than 100 deals, you're still a newbie. If you haven't lost money on a deal, you're still a newbie. Why? Because that means you're not pushing far enough. Okay. So understand that. Now, I don't mean to call anyone specific out, right? If you're like, man, he's calling me out right now, just think about that. And it's perfectly fine to be a newbie, but don't try to position yourself in the way that will immediately show to those who have operational depth that you don't. It's an easy way to lose an audience very quickly. It's okay to be a newbie. We were all newbies at some point in time. I consider myself a newbie for a long time. probably over 10 years, to be honest. It wasn't until after I crossed about 10 years, I was like, man, I've been doing this for a decade. Now I start to feel like maybe I'm not a newbie anymore. I haven't learned everything there is to know yet. Okay. Um, real estate's about building relationships. JJ says this all the time, but if you try to fake who you are, you'll destroy any chance of building a relationship that you have. Okay? So just understand that depth, operational depth equals authority. The longer you've been in this business, the more you have. Now, just because you're a newbie doesn't mean that you don't have depth in a specific situation, a specific story, with a specific deal, with a specific lender, doing something specifically that you've done, right? Going to events, attending trainings, figuring out how to take lessons learned from trainings like this and actually apply them into your business and having success. Like operational depth doesn't necessarily mean you have to be doing it for decades, all right? You just have to take your scope from saying, I'm an expert at all things real estate down to I'm an expert at this one thing that I've done really deep work on that one thing. It's an easy way to get deep and show operational depth, right? And own that scenario and still build authority. Okay. And then last, I want to talk a little bit about signal direction. I talked a little bit about signaling direction a couple times here, so let's be very clear. Okay. So you don't want to sound needy, like, oh, I need this, right? Instead of saying, I need money for a deal, say, if you're actively deploying capital in the next 2 months and you're looking for a deal to put money in, da 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 da, right? That's signaling to someone. It signals that I don't need something. I have something that you need. You're actively deploying capital. I have a deal you can deploy capital into. When I say I need, I'm the guy flailing. When I say I have something you want, I'm the guy with the life ring. Subtle change, but very, very powerful. Okay. We're currently evaluating value add multifamily in Kansas. Okay. That's a way. Not, hey, I got a deal in Kansas. If you might be interested, let me know. Low value. We're evaluating a value add multifamily. It has strong financials. This is the specifics. One, two, three, blah, 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 whatever, da, 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 right? See the difference? Okay. You're not pitching. You're not begging. You're not asking for money. You're not asking for support. You're saying, I have something that you desire, that you want. If you want it, come get it. It's a very subtle shift, but it's a very powerful one that will change how your posts are perceived. Okay. Now you should be doing this on your posts and your social profiles. You should be doing this in your posts in groups. You should be doing this everywhere. You should do this in your language, out there in meetings, talking to people, right? This is a language shift. We're talking about it in the context of social media, but truly what it is, it's a language shift. Okay. And then the last part is you got to control your call to action, right? Don't do the scammy, spammy stuff, right? Like drop a specific call to action, right? I've already talked about that, so I won't go any more detail there, but it's important. Okay. All right, a couple more things. These are just some tips to help you guys avoid this. Avoid looking like an operator with no depth. Okay. Don't over explain the basics, right? Explaining basics shows that you don't know them. You need to state them because you're uncomfortable with them versus assuming that everyone's already got them. If they need the basics, they'll reach out and they'll ask you about them, and then you can explain them all day long, right? But I tell you right now, I don't post basics about things I post about. Why? Because I'm not trying to attract basic investors. I'm trying to elevate my game to higher level investors who don't need the basics because they already know them. Okay. Um, you a lot of newbie investors that have lack of operational depth broadcast learning. What I mean by that is they share generic lessons. They don't get deep. Lead someone to the solution from the story that you're sharing. That shows depth of operational knowledge. That's what people are after. Okay. Newbie investors or people who lack operational depth try to impress everyone. They use broad messaging. They make broad statements, or they call out a one-off example when talking about averages. So, for example, on average, if we look at all transactions closed across the country, 94% of all deals, sorry, 90% of all deals are closed from on-market properties, not off-market properties, right? Someone says, well, I closed an off-market property last week. Okay, great. So you're one of the 10%. That immediately tells me you have lack of operational depth. Because if you understood the market, you'd understand that I'm not talking about your specific situation. I'm talking about an average across the entire market of all real estate transactions, this is true. So something like that can kill your can expose your lack of operational depth. Okay. Hiding intent is another one. Like afraid to signal that they're doing something, or like, hey, like, they beat around the bush, or they don't clearly ask for the thing, right? Big, big red flag. Okay. Being too transactional. All right. DM me for the thing. It gives me that pick me energy. Oh, I got something. Pick me. Pick me. I want my thing. Like no one wants that stuff, right? Right. Just like in dating, pick me energy doesn't get very good, high quality people. Okay. Next, inconsistent identity. Be consistent in talking about what you do. If today you're a flipper, tomorrow you're doing real estate syndications, next week you're crypto, the week after that you're selling AI, and then the week after that you're doing something, like it creates confusion. I'm not saying you can't do multiple things, but the more you talk about random things that don't intertwine with each other, the harder it's going to be. All right. I do a lot of AI stuff that has nothing to do with real estate, but I only talk about on social the stuff that has to do with AI with real estate. AI with lending. I talk about lending. I talk about real estate deals. Everything I talk about is in the real estate space in some capacity, right? I don't ever talk about the other things that I might have going on or participating in. Why? Because they don't matter. If I start talking about lots of random things, people will get confused and they'll go out and they won't take me seriously in that. Okay. So there's some basics on how you can actually tackle through this stuff. Now, I'm going to show a couple of example posts. If I show a post and you're on this call, please don't take it as a personal affront, right? But I want people to see and understand high value posts and low value posts and some things that people did which were in the middle. Okay. So here's a post from Lance Riggin. Okay. This is a high value post, high intent post, clear ask, has an image. That's important. If you only post text, guys, or you post links, things will be declined in reach. I'll show you that. It is a networking promotion, which, by the way, in our group, we don't allow promotions unless you get explicit admin approval. However, if it's a networking event and it's free to attend the event, we do allow those. This is a solid post. So let's take a look at it, right? Next networking event is coming up already. Next week in Tyler, Texas, Sub 2 Creative Finance Meetup. So now I know who it's for, where it's at, what's going on, and I'm only on the second sentence. We don't care if you're young or old, experienced or newbie. If you're ready to learn, scale, and grow, come on out. Bring your appetite, hunger, learn, and grow. And then here's a picture with all the details around the specifics. Now it's a little cut off my screenshot, but you get it, right? This is a great post. It's clear. He's signaling who it's for. He's signaling the intent, which is, do you want to come network and learn in Tyler, Texas? I know where it's happening. I might have put in the actual content, the day of the week, the date, and the time. I believe he has it. He has it here in March 4th, 6 p.m. Right, which is fine. So it's here, but you could have done a little better by putting it up here as well, just so it's in both places. But overall, good high intent post, clear call to action, clear signal, not beating around the bush, getting to the point. Okay. All right. Next one. This is Tom's post here. All right. So he goes through real estate investors should build towers of brick and debt, counting doors, counting cash flow, counting growth. Illness does not knock politely. Then he talks about a bunch of illness, blah, 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 blah. And right. And he, goes through and talks about some things here. Right. This is a solid post, right? He's leading with value. He's saying, here's some information that I've learned. I want to share a story about something. In this case, sickness impacting our business. All right. He's sharing his expertise, which is also great. However, where this post went a little wrong was, why share this story? Is there a story here? Tom could have shared, did he have an issue with cancer, heart attack, stroke, Alzheimer? What was the reason for him sharing this? That's going to make it more emotional. It's going to draw people in and go, man, like, I want to know more about what happened to Tom. Like, why is it, like, what happened, right? Also, he could have shared what to do about this. One or two specific things that he could have shared with what could have happened, right? So he says true discipline is not just acquiring assets, but protecting them, the income that sustains them. All right. Well, share. Well, what did you do? Did you move into a trust? Did you put them in an LLC? Did you have a beneficiary? Like, give me more detail here, right? So it's okay, but it could have been a little bit more. And then could have asked for a comment to increase reach. So could have said, hey, have you experienced illness with you or your family? That could have been, share your story below. Hey, for those of you who are doing trust, who have you used for a trust that I can call so I can build one if I need to? Like, ask something else, and then add an image or a video or whatever. It's just a plain text post, which dramatically reduces down reach. Now you notice here, because I'm an admin, I can see the reach of this post. There's almost 5,000 people in the group. Only 42 people reached this. So less than 1% of the group was reached in this post because this was, while it had good intent, was a few things done wrong and could have improved this dramatically. Okay. All right. Here's a video from Brian. So he goes through and says, does Always Capital offer gap funding? Simple question, straightforward. And then he goes through and he answers the question in the video. This is great. Call to action. We know who it's for. We all know what gap funding is. This is a group of real estate investors, right? He doesn't explain, here's what gap funding is. Remember how I said don't explain the basics? We assume you already know what gap funding is because you're in a group for real estate investors. If you don't, you could drop a comment and say, what is gap funding? I don't know what that means. And then we could explain to you. But he's positioned himself as a higher authority simply by assuming you already know what gap funding is because you're in a group for real estate investors. Okay, here's a medium value post, right? This is a motivational quote, right? Inspirational, which is fine. But again, remember I said low value, right? Ask a question, share a story. What lesson did you learn about how this impacted your habits or something more, right? So this just says some great words to live by. Okay, stay private, work hard, dress well, eat healthy, talk less, do more, live life, be kind, blah, 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 blah. Like I'm already checked out and I'm not even done reading the stupid thing. Okay. This is fine to post this, but share a story, get deeper. Like why? Why this one? Why does Chris feel this is great words to live by? What specific thing did this do for him? How did it impact him in his life? Did it impact a deal he was working on? Did something here, he dressed well. And so because of that, he was able to go get a deal that he didn't get otherwise, right? Like, I don't know. But this is just, it's not bad, but it's just kind of a medium value post. Okay. Here's a low value post. This is a post from Kent with a YouTube link and what reads like a YouTube description. Okay. First of all, why is this a low value post? First of all, it's a link off of Facebook, which means Facebook will suppress this. Notice the reach is 46, very low reach. Less than 1% of the group saw this post. Why? Because Facebook doesn't want you, and most platforms don't want you to share content that posts off of their platform. They want you to stay on their platform. So immediately there, right? Feel self-promotion-ish, right? You're telling me to go to your YouTube channel. Kent would have done better here rather than pointing me to his YouTube, because this feels like he's trying to get me to go to his YouTube channel and subscribe. He doesn't say that. That's what it feels like, right? Take the actual video from YouTube and put the video on here and say, hey, this is a video I posted on YouTube, but I also wanted to share here. Now I know that you have a YouTube channel, so if I want it, I can go find it, right? But now the video is there. It's a video post. It will get pushed out a lot further, has higher value. I don't have to leave Facebook where I'm already at to go someplace else. So it's there. Okay. Instead of just posting the description, share some thoughts. Like why, like what cities ask when building more housing? Okay. So he's talking about affordable housing. Well, why does Kent care about affordable housing? Like what's some thoughts around this? I don't know. He just, again, just sounds like he's trying to get me to go to the video. Help understand why you're sharing this, right? What's the point of sharing this? I don't understand. There's no signal. I don't understand who this is for. There's no invitation. Like, I don't know what's going on here, right? So overall, this is a very low value post. This screams like someone who just wants you to subscribe to his YouTube, doesn't care about actually anything to do with the group, and just wants me to go to his YouTube, right? And that's why it got very, very low reach. Okay, another low value post. This is a retail listing, all right, that he also shared from a business page out or another profile on Facebook into a group. Why is this low value? Well, this is in a group of investors. Most investors don't care about a retail listing. We're looking for properties that need to be fixed up that we can make money on, Airbnbs that we can invest in, right? Okay. Sharing from a business page, sharing from outside the group. So from a personal profile or a business page is massive suppression. Again, I didn't get it in the screenshot, but this post was seen by less than 1/100th of the group. Because when you share content from outside the group you're posting into a group, it doesn't get traction, right? If you wanted to share this listing, which I still wouldn't share it in investor group, that's a terrible thing first and foremost. But if I did want to share information, share it directly in the group. Yes, that means you might have to post it multiple times. But if you're going to take the time to post something, Take the time for it to be seen. Take the time for it to get out there. Take the time for it to start working. That's what you got to do. Okay. This is not a local group. So how many people are even looking in this area, right? This is in St. Johns County. What percentage of people live in St. Johns County and would even be interested in this? Okay. It's not, again, not an Airbnb. It's not a rental. It's not an investment property. This looks like a finished home for someone to live in, like an owner occupied type home. So again, low value there. Also, this is perfect. Price improvement in Beach Walk, right? Don't try to get fancy. You drop the price. The only reason you're dropping the price is because the property is not sound. That's it. Own the fact. Hey, we lowered the price. Don't try to be fancy with it and say price improvement. This makes you sound like an idiot. It does. It just does. And I'm sorry, Kevin, if you're here, or Alyssa, if you're here, but this just screams, I'm trying to hide the fact that I had to lower the price, which means either A, you had to overprice to begin with, or B, you over improved it, or C, you had some sort of misvaluation in the property, right? Just own it. Own what's going on. Hey, this is what's going on. Be straightforward, okay? This kind of language actually only hurts your posting even more. Okay, next one here. This could be a good post, but was done the wrong way. So Christopher posted a deal. So he says, I'm working on an off-market 3-2 in Boynton Beach near the Intercoastal. Some details on the post: clean, outdated room for pool, potential market rent $6,000, repairs $70,000, ARV $800,000, cash deal, metal roof, needs cosmetic updates, target mids price 400s, and then 3 Google Drive links. Okay, so first of all, what is I'm working on me? Do you have this deal under contract or you don't? Guys, if you're going to post deals on social media, you better have them under contract, right? Because if you don't have it under contract, now technically you're acting as an agent. And if you're not licensed, you could find yourself getting sued. So don't post deals that you don't already have under contract or are or don't have ownership stake in. Okay. Next, what's the ask? It's unclear what he wants from this post. I don't have any like. Are you want to sell this? You said target mids price 400. So what are you asking for this house? What do you want? Like, do it's a cash deal? Okay. Does that mean I like? It's just very unclear. Okay. The shared drive links will decrease posts reach again. This one had a little bit better, 114%, but still only about 2% of the group saw the post because he shared drive links. If you do need to share links in a post, in this scenario, he's got links to that go to all of his deal information. Share those in the comments. Don't share them in the actual post itself. Okay. There's a whole bunch of weird wording here. Like group posts especially offer formatting. Use the formatting to your advantage. Like he's got like it reads very weird, almost like you're trying to put it on a flyer, but you run out of space. So you're trying to cram as much information into a small text box, but you got space. It's Facebook. Post the details. Okay. I had to ask a comment. I was like, what are you trying to do with this deal? Are you trying to sell it? Are you looking for a capital partner? Are you looking for a private money lender? Like it's unclear. Turns out he's trying to sell this deal, but I had to find out in the comments, right? So this could have been good, but it's just laid out in a very low value way. So it's not a great post, right? Had he done things a little differently, could have been a very, very good post to be out there. Okay. So that's a couple of examples for you guys. Last thing I want to give you guys, these are deal post formats. So real quick, I am going to walk you guys through in all of JJ's groups. We're going to start creating a deal post format. This is a specific post format in which you need to provide all the information in the format that we give you, and then we'll post your deals for you. This does a couple things to help you with this. Number one, if we post your deal for you because we're admins, it's going to get more reach than if you post it yourself. It's just a factor of the algorithm. It's as simple as that. Number two, much like that deal post that I just shared, right? I want to make it abundantly clear what your ask is. We're signaling the intention of the post and the invitation to do whatever it is, right? If it's an unclear deal post, you're not going to get traction, which is not going to actually help you get your deals taken care of, okay? And then last but not least is these posts are designed to highlight shitty deals and call out shitty deals as shitty deals. Now, I say that because the reality is, if I look across most of the investors in my sphere of influence right now, 70% of the deals people are trying to hawk out there are crap deals you should never look at, you should never do, and they shouldn't be doing either. right? They've been tricked into some idea that this is a good deal, or they're trying to force a deal to make it happen, or they're just totally off base in their information of what they assume they can do this deal, and it's creating a negative situation. Our deal posting format is designed to highlight crappy deals so that A, you know it's probably not a great deal very quickly, which means you should be thinking about it because I want you to win, right? And I don't mean to call you out for a crappy deals you're doing, but I don't want you to get into a bad deal because you misconstrued the details and thought it was a good deal, but really it wasn't, right? I want you to win because if you don't win on deals, you're not going to be getting more loans from us, which doesn't help me build the business, right? And then last but not least, if you're a private money lender or you're a capital, an equity investor in a deal, right? This will be very easy for you to see the deals that are good and the deals that are not. So you can look very quickly and say, yep, that one looks good, has all the information I need to make a decision on whether I want to put my money or my time into this deal. And long term, guys, just so you understand, we have a platform called AWC Nexus, which will be launching very, very soon. It's a full loan program that allows you to do brokering and a bunch of other things. You'll be able to actually post your deal into that platform and it will come to us and eventually we'll automatically post to our groups. But in the short term, before I get the AI fully built out, we'll take your information and post it there. But again, I want your deals to get traction. So this is how we can promise to do it, but I got to have it in the right format. This also ensures that there's consistency across every deal format so that people can make, look, and take quick action on every deal that they're looking at. So what does that look like? For a wholesaler deal, that's this one right here. Acquisition price, wholesale fees, contract price to seller, deal structure. If it's a rental wholesale, what state, address, asset type, taxes, insurance, rent? Is it vacant? What's the value? We'll provide you with always capital calculated values, cap rate, equity, and fair market value. This is why you submit it to us. So you can say, hey, I had always capital actually look at my deal before we posted it. So we have information there. If it's a rehab, state, address, asset type, taxes, and don't worry about writing all this guys down. We'll get all the information to you guys, right? And then AWC will calculate the value, time estimate for the project, ARV, fair market value, and the Mayo for the offer, right? So this is a very simple way to say, I got a wholesale deal. It's a rental or a rehab. Here's all the details you need to know if you want to buy this deal. Let's say you have a for sale by owner. So this is a property that you own or you're trying to sell. Asking price, reason for selling. If it's a rental, here's all the information here. Again, same calculation of values from Always Capital. Rehab, same calculations of values, same address. So very similar to wholesale, just a for sale by owner instead of a wholesale deal. Okay. Let's say you're doing a new purchase. I'm going to zoom in here just a little bit. New purchase. So you are buying a house. How much cash are you putting in the deal? What's your experience? What's your FICO, right? These are important questions. If someone else is going to partner with you in a deal or give you cash, they're going to need to know this information. So be upfront. Now, this is not designed to say, for example, if you have a bad credit score, to shame you and, oh my God, you had a bad credit score, you shouldn't do this. Plenty of people have bad credit scores, have low cash, and do great deals, right? This is simply to say, this is what I come to the table. This is what I bring to the table, good, bad, and ugly, right? And everything in between, okay? Investment price. Is Always Capital going to be the senior debt position on this new purchase? AKA, are we doing the primary funding or not? Okay. What are you looking for? Are you looking for a capital equity partner? Are you looking for a private money lender? Are you looking for a secondary lender? Like, what's the specifics of what you're looking for? How many general partners are in the deal? This is something I see happen a lot. It's like, oh, we got 18 general partners in the deal. So you're telling me you got 18 hands in the pot for one deal? Maybe that's not the deal for me. Or maybe you're like, hey, I only got to bring 10,000. I can be in a deal. Awesome. That's the deal for me. Not good or bad, but we do want to know that. What's your exit strategy? Then if it's a rental, again, all the address, insurance, vacant information, again, Always Capital will calculate the values for you. By the way, guys, long-term, the Nexus will actually auto-calculate these values for you and auto-pull rates based on the most recent rates of what you're doing. It's not there yet, but we're building it. If it's a rehab, again, same information as above. Okay. Let's say you have a property you're trying to refinance, right? So I actually have some properties right now we're looking at potentially refinancing. So have we owned this property, and if so, for how long, right? What's my experience as the investor? What's my FICO and background? Again, is AWC going to be in the senior debt position? What am I looking for? Total number of partners, exit strategy, right? Again, same information here, right? Are you seeing a pattern? This is basic information that we need about every deal. So there's no reason trying to hide it or, not talk about it. Be upfront with the deal. You'll get a lot more traction. And then the last is if you're looking to lend money, okay? How much minimum operator money or percentage in the deal. So in other words, I'm looking for, a deal between $50,000 and $60,000, or I need to be a 45% partner deal or 55% partner in a deal. What's your minimum operator experience? And sorry, minimum operator money or percentages as the person that I'm giving money to, how much money or percentage do they have in the deal? Operator experience is how much experience do you need them to have? Is this their first deal and you're not willing to work with a newbie? Then state that. Don't get a newbie's hopes up if you're not willing to work with them. Will you co-guarantee senior debt? In other words, if they're getting a loan from Always Capital, will you put your name in the line so that if the deal goes sideways, you're co-guaranteeing it? Do you require a first mortgage? If the answer is this to yes, well, that's fine, but it usually means you got to come with more money to the deal, right? Because first position is usually a bigger position. Will you secure with equity? Will you lend in the following? What markets will you lend in, right? I'm only looking for deals in, red states, not blue states. I'm not looking for anything in New York City. I won't do anything in Chicago, but I will do Tampa, whatever it's going to be. What kind of assets? Single family homes, multifamily homes, commercial? Like what's the specifics you're looking for? Are you looking for short term or long term? Do you require monthly payments if you're going to lend money, or are you okay to get paid when the deal is done? What's your maximum investment amount? What's your minimum amount? And will you only lend if Always Capital is a senior debt provider? By the way, this last one is how you protect yourself with us, right? If we're the senior debt provider, that means that we've gone through the deal. We believe, at least on the surface, the numbers look solid and we're willing to lend on the deal. It also ensures that there's enough equity in the deal. And it also ensures that if it goes sideways, right, you know who we are, you can work with us to get the deal back on track if need be. So you don't have to work with Always Capital, but if you are working with Always Capital, it's going to maybe make your life a little easier if things do go bad, particularly if you're an equity partner or deal with someone you don't have a deep relationship with. Okay. Anyways, that's what I got. I know we're a little actually past time, so I apologize. I had a lot to cover. Hopefully you guys got some good serious value out of this. If anyone has any questions, go ahead and raise your hand. I'll take those questions or put it in the chat box. Either way, happy to go through that. But hopefully this helps you guys reframe how you're going to post on social and start to really bring things in. By the way, I want you to take all this knowledge that you gained tonight and bring it to JJ's group. Right? Think about the posts in there. Start participating. I promise you, if you participate and you get visibility and you do what I told you, you'll gain traction over the next several months.
I tell this to you guys all the time. Use the group. Use the group as a practice ground. You know, everything Bob's talking about, post there, comment there, that's the place to use it. Don't worry about experimenting on your own page. Don't worry about experimenting in Sub2 or Gator. Use my group, post as often as you can, make yourself as visible as possible. You do not market your business, you market yourself. If you guys aren't visible, you're invisible. An opportunity walks right past you. Don't be a spectator. This is not a spectator sport, guys. So that's what I want to add for right now. But anybody have any questions for Bob or me for that matter?
Yeah, Ray actually asked one. Ray, do you want to ask your question specifically? And we'll probably
Sure.
pull you up onto we'll spotlight you or whatever it is called.
You were talking about being consistent across all your platforms. We talked about your handle, your using the same imagery. If you have multiple businesses and multiple strategies that you're working, how do you best handle that? Combination of personal and business pages, or what's your recommendation there?
Yeah. So are your businesses widely different? Like, I know you're in real estate. Obviously, you got a fund or a couple funds and you do mobile homes, right? So is it all real
Yep.
estate related or is it some of it totally
It's
outside of real
all real
estate?
estate. I mean, in one hand, it's focused on building trust and certainty around raising funds for the San Diego project. On the other hand, it's building visibility around the mobile home park to sell homes. So they're
Perfect.
they're slightly different.
Yeah, they are, right? So you're in a similar boat to me in which is you got a bunch of things, but most of them are all real estate centric. So focus on being the investor and talk about the opportunities that you have specifically. So when you want to talk about your mobile home park, if you clearly signal this is about mobile homes, right? And this is the details, that's how you differentiate that. So you're okay. Now, for those of you who have business operations that might be in completely different things, the reality is you've either got to create separate, basically profiles for yourself to talk about separate things, because it's like, especially if it's totally different, Or you've got to be okay to talk about one thing for a while until you can build up your income to where you can say, look, I'm an investor in multiple businesses. Think like a Gary Vee or a Alex Hormozy or things of that nature. Then you can start to get there. But for most of us, right, we just focus in on one thing and just signal clearly what you're doing and how it's working, because that's how you're gonna um, that's how you'll be there. And the people who want to hear about the fund versus mobile homes or vice versa, they'll self-select themselves out of the posts that don't matter to them because the signaling intent is clear
Mhm.
from the get-go in those posts.
That makes sense. Thanks.
Yeah, great question.
Okay, guys, if we don't have any more questions for Bob, Bob will be back. This is not Bob's last time speaking. Thursdays are going to be the calls for Bob, Mark, and Brian, or possibly other speakers. They won't be on every Thursday, and then when they're not, then you're stuck with me. But you're going to be getting basically the Always Capital team on Thursdays. Uh, those of you that want to join the investing capital investing done safely group, that's still available to you guys. It's $37 per month, and you pretty much going to have access to everybody, as well as help with underwriting and just all the learning and education that we're going to be bringing literally every week.
John asked, where can we get the deal format template? For everyone to know, we'll be posting about the deal format template. We just got it kind of dialed in this week. So we'll be posting more about that probably tomorrow and the specifics that you need to share with us. And then we'll, like I said, for right now, you'll probably just have to email the details eventually. And I think I showcased this on one of the last calls I did. We have a new platform that we'll be releasing soon called AWC Nexus. The Nexus is where it's convergence of all money. So borrowing, lending, brokering. And our goal is to use that platform for you to submit deals. And eventually the goal will be you submit a deal and it auto posts right into the Facebook group for you.
Guys, before we part, I want to share one more thing with you guys. If you come to the Always networking group, I want you to go to the main page, and off to the right, you're going to see these three little dots. And I want you to click on those three dots, and it'll take you to manage notifications. And if you click on manage notifications, I want you to turn on all posts. And Bob, do we want to go for the
Yeah,
highlights or
but
just
yeah, highlights. Yeah. If you don't mind getting push notifications on your phone, yeah, this will ensure you see all the good stuff happening in the group. So education, videos, contents, posts, shares, deals, people with money who are trying to find a place for it, like whatever it might be. Like that's how you make sure, because the algorithm hides a lot of stuff by default. So turning that on all posts ensures that you don't miss anything in the group.
so if you guys are still looking to get into the capital investing group, it is still open. You guys can still get in there. I think you've heard Bob speak, Brian and Mark, and these are some smart cats. These guys know their stuff. They're all very, very successful. I actually learned a lot of what I talk about from Bob and Brian, and I've just kind of learned and tried to follow and you know, I'm just gonna say, look what it's done for me. Now, what has it done for me? I mean, one, it's made me very, very visible, and two, that I've built relationships. And you know, um, do a video. Doesn't have to be about anything longer than, hey, JJ told me to do a video, so here's a video I'm doing. I hope you liked it. It can be that short, but you have to start with something. Does that make sense, guys? Don't be. This is not a spectator sport. I mean, I really can't say that enough. People help people who they know, like, and trust. If you're not visible, people aren't going to know you. They're not going to help you just because you're a nice person. Because if they don't know you, flat out, they don't know you. I want to help you build your business. Like anybody on the call, guys, I want you to become as successful as you can be as quickly as you can get there. Flat out. Now I have Bob, Mark, and Brian to help me get you there. When you get on a Zoom call, you have one shot at a first impression. Anna's wearing a very nice shirt. She's wearing a very nice shirt. Leo's wearing a nice shirt. John Neuendorfer. John Neuendorfer's usually, coming out of the gym. He's got a tight Speedo top on. He's usually practicing, taking pictures for his calendar. John's doing a calendar of athletic guys flexing out for 2026 because he's got the gym going on. So, Kimberly, if you guys follow johnnewendorfer.com, it's all about guys that work out and flex it out. And so, anyhow, no, John knows I'm kidding. He lets me do that, which I really appreciate. But John, what I'm also doing is I'm mentioning your name again, and mentioning your name again, and mentioning your name again. You guys show up, I'll pour into you. You don't show up, I can't pour into you. Show up, I'll introduce you to other people that will help you. Um, who was that? Jeff Eccles. Have you been on the call with Ade Dadapo yet?
Yeah, it's been a while,
Yeah,
JJ,
you
but
know
yeah,
what? Get on another call,
I
guys.
need to get
The
on
reason
another
I say get
call.
on another call, I went to the family office. If I think you guys know what a family office is. Anybody that does not know what a family office is, let's raise your hand. Is when there's a family that has such a big portfolio, they are so wealthy that their income is well in excess of 300,000 a year. The holdings of their portfolio probably are into hundreds of millions of dollars. They have parents, they have kids, and they have grandkids. And this portfolio they've built is the machine pulling all the money in to support all those people. Does that make sense, guys? So as these parents are approaching an older age, they don't necessarily want to split that portfolio three ways amongst three kids and hope each kid takes care of their assets. And one of them may, another one might, and the third one's going to piss it all away. So what they do is they put all their assets in what's called the family office, which is under a trust. And when you're in a family office, there are individuals that do this professionally, and they will run that office to maximize your income, maximize your revenue. And the person, head of that family office, is either the matriarch or the patriarch, whoever the main signal caller is for that family. In Chris's family, it's Chris. Chris Nasser's like, I call the shots. My husband, I tell my husband when to come and go and send him off to work, and I run the ship, right, Chris? She's going, yeah, that's right, that's right. So my point being, guys, a family office club is a club of people that are the matriarch or patriarch of their families. When I walk into a room of a family office club, and Mark and Brian are coming next week to a family office meeting here in LA, literally three-fourths of the room, these people are so beyond wealthy, it's not even funny. We're in a room of like Casey Savages, right? Um, the one thing they talk about in Family Office Club, they have a four-step rule, three, four. The three-step rule is within 3 minutes, they're going to know if they're liking you or not. And if they're not, that conversation is pretty much going to terminate at 3 minutes, right? If they are liking you, shouldn't go any more than 5 minutes, which means take a text photo, take a photo of one another, take a double selfie, text to them, make sure you've got their number, make sure they've got your number, and then move on and talk to somebody else. If you can't make your impact within 3 to 5 minutes, you're not networking properly, which is why we have to practice forward. But the fourth step of that three, four, five is in the family office club. They won't even talk about your investment opportunities. They got so much money. Everyone comes up to them asking for money, right? So they won't even talk to you about money or deals or even what you do for a living until they've met you 4 times. I'm now going to my fourth family office event next week. So I want us to start implementing this whole family office four-step rule. Try and reach out to people for the first people on this group. Guys, get the numbers of 5 other guys. Guys, don't if you want to build relationships in real estate, do not give somebody your Google Voice number. It's so frustrating. I want to call someone, I want them to pick up the phone. Every one of you have my phone number, not my Google Voice. You have my phone number. If I want to talk to somebody, I'll block them. It's that simple, you know? But when you're networking, when you're building relationships, like I said, you're at a live event, you're at Squad Up Summit, you're at Pace's bus tour, you're meeting someone, you're talking, the conversation's going well. You're going to go, hey, Ade, can I get a picture with you? Sure. Great. Can I get your number? Sure. Okay, then hey, can I text this to you? Because they may give you a business card. But the number you want is not their work number. It's not their 8x8 number. It's not their 10x number. It's not their Google Voice number. It's not their Blink number. The number you want is their personal cell phone. I can't tell you how frustrated I get when I meet somebody. You guys know it all the time. I'll get a friend request and I'll message somebody on Facebook, can I have your number? They shoot me a number and I call the number and it's Google Voice. And I'm like, okay, you're doing this all wrong. I was talking to a couple people about this the other day. I think you guys tell me if I'm right or I'm wrong. When you have your profile photo for your page, I usually suggest have a photo that clearly shows your face. Casey just took down the photo that had his sunglasses up, I think, right? But you want to have your face up so people have name face recognition. And more importantly, a lot of us are going to have not just a Facebook, we're going to have an Instagram like Chris Nasser. We're going to have a LinkedIn like Chris Nasser. And you want to have the same photo across all social media. You don't want Chris's photo. Chris is going to use her photo. And you got a great photo on your Facebook profile, Chris. I love your photo. But for the rest of us, whatever photo we're using on Facebook, we want to use on Instagram, we want to use on LinkedIn. Should be nice and clear. Our face is not so low that we're cutting off our chin. It's not so high that we're cutting off the top of our head. We need to be centered in that photo, like a company ID badge should be properly lit. So I'm gonna let you guys go because I could talk all night. Hey everybody, thank you so much for jumping on today, and I'll be back on Saturday morning at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time, guys. See y'all soon.